What's going on, everybody? I'm going to talk about an ongoing discussion about what it means to cure someone of a mental illness and what this can imply. This topic is very charged and affects most people. Since this is not a discussion of an exact science, everything I say may not be written in stone. Okay, so as the name implies, a mental illness is generally recognized as a negative thing to have. Before we dive into the ethics and normative thoughts on mental illness today, I think it's good to know the very brief history of mental illness's place in society. Throughout history, it's obvious that people have encountered or referenced mental illness. Way back when, these assumed illnesses could be referred to as many things, such as spirits, demons, or unexplainable occurrences. This was just the accepted theory that explains seemingly random thoughts and actions that people had. It wasn't until the late 1800s that the idea of mental illness really stuck, which in my eyes was a big step toward helping people with these issues. More time and thought were put into studying mental illnesses and the brain. Asylums intended to aid people with mental illnesses were put up, but seemed to be ineffective by today's standards. Some would say that these asylums weren't there to get the people better, but to have a place to put them so they would not affect other people. Coming to more recent times, mental illness has been treated very similarly to physical illness in the medical field, while still holding some stigma from the past. Medicines are being discovered to aid people, applying effective treatment and in some cases nullifying effects totally from mental illnesses. Once again, the question has been raised to address the ethics of curing a mental illness. Starting off, the initial issue is that the use of the word cure can be seen as demeaning. As you can see, the actual definition of cure does not necessarily mean it's demeaning, but the context and cultural stigma on cure makes it demeaning. I agree that this wording can be seen as harsh and change a viewpoint. I believe it would be best if they use other words such as aiding or helping the person and not curing them. Moving past the linguistics, the main argument against curing people of mental illness is that of neurodiversity. As explained here, neurodiversity is the idea that neurological differences are the result of normal, natural variation in the human genome. The neurodiversity argument is one that tries to more normalize a perceived illness and at the same time create a sense of special identity due to this illness. This argument can also go so far as to see the perceived illnesses as benefits, giving these people an in-group and thus a better social environment to be in. To me, neurodiversity in these groups is a good idea gone to an extreme. Yes, I believe that people are different and have the rights to their own thoughts and beliefs, but ultimately people are trying to cure other people in order for them to either live a happier life alone or to fit into society better to then lead a happier life. It is a good idea to teach people that it is okay to be different, it is okay to be yourself, but when some groups take it so far as to never wanting help or never adapting to society as a way of self-sustenance, it can hurt the individuals of the group because they may be ignoring negative symptoms. There have been many studies where people try to analyze what to do and what not to do to help people the most, similar to this census discussion, as you can see, where they looked at different statistics regarding mental health and certain negative outcomes from missing treatment. It's hard to do studies based on these things, such as moral reasoning and individual feelings of people regarding these mental illnesses, which is why this is more of a discussion-based video. Psychology itself can be picked apart by many samples and many individuals, which makes generalities very hard to believe. Both sides of the neurodiversity and ethics of curing mental illness arguments seem to pick at these generalities. One side will say, everyone is different, so you can't cure them all, it would be wrong. Another side will say, a lot of them need the help, we must cure them. And both sides are right. There are some individuals who need more help than others, and some who need lesser help. All of them should have less stigma for having these problems, however. But to base all of your reasoning on if someone should be cured of an illness on generalities is nonsense. Every case has its own individual details and facts and should be handled by that person and those who care for him or her. And I believe that the only general message to send to listeners is to not stigmatize these people for their illnesses, but at the same time do not promote negative symptoms of these illnesses. A moderate middle ground is the best place to be. My name's Luke. Thanks for listening. Follow me on Instagram.